What if the thing that you have been chasing, the goals, the income, the next level, is actually the very thing pulling you further away from the life that you say that you want? I want you to really sit with that for a second because I see this all the time, not just in the people that I coach, but in conversations behind the scenes with high performers, business owners, and even people who look successful from the outside. They've built something, they're doing the work, they're achieving the goals, but they're tired. They feel disconnected. And they keep telling themselves, once I get there, then I'll feel better. And what I found is this, is that there keeps moving. So today, I want to talk about something that completely changed the way I approach my life and my business. Ambition and fulfillment are not opposites. You don't have to sacrifice one to have the other. And in fact, when you learn how to integrate them, that's when you actually start living your dream life, not just building it. And everything I'm going to share today is not from a place of this is what you should do, but more from a place of this is what I've found has worked for myself or what I've really started to live. And more importantly, what I see work over and over again with clients that I coach. I'm your host, Shayla Wey. I'm a small business coach, leadership strategist, and someone who truly believes that building a business should help you build a life that you love, not take over the one you already have. And on this podcast, we talk about the things that actually help entrepreneurs grow: leadership, fulfillment, and sustainable growth. Because success isn't just about building a bigger business. It's about building a business that supports your life, not one that quietly consumes it. And so what I have found is that most people are operating under a belief they don't even realize they have. The lies that we have been sold, over our lifetime. And that belief is often as if I want to be successful, I have to sacrifice my fulfillment. And it's subtle, but it starts to show up in different places. And with coaching clients that I've worked with, it sounds like things like, this is just a busy season. I've also seen it presented as, well, I'll just slow down after this launch. And even something simple as, I just need to push a little longer. And again, I am not against working hard. I'm not against ambition. But what I found is when that mindset becomes your default, you start building a life that you don't actually enjoy living. And here's the deeper issue, is you start disconnecting from yourself. You stop asking, do I really want this? Does this feel aligned? Is this the life that I envisioned? And instead, you just keep going because that's what ambitious people do, right? But here's what I found after years of coaching and building. If fulfillment is always delayed, it never arrives because you don't magically become fulfilled when you hit a goal. You become fulfilled based on how you live while you pursue the goal. And this is where so many people get stuck. They think ambition equals hustle and fulfillment equals rest. But that's not the real equation. The real equation is the leadership and the fulfillment and the growth all working together. That is where alignment lives. Because leadership is really how you lead yourself through pressure, decisions, and discipline. Fulfillment is how you experience your life while building. And growth is what you're actually creating and expanding into. Now, the second thing that I found is that ambition on its own is not the problem. It's misaligned ambition that creates burnout. And misaligned ambition usually comes from comparison, proving energy, even fear of falling behind, not purpose. I've had conversations with people who are making more money than they ever thought possible. And they feel more disconnected than ever. Why? Well, because their ambition was never rooted in what actually mattered to them. It was rooted in, I should be here by now, or everyone else is doing this. And I don't want to fall behind. So one of the most impactful concepts that I've come across is from the book, The Gap in the Gain. And it talks about how we constantly measure ourselves against what we haven't done yet instead of how far we've come. So no matter how much you achieve, it never feels like enough. And what I found is that ambition without fulfillment creates a moving finish line. You hit the goal, and instead of feeling proud, you move the goalpost. You sign the client, and immediately you think about the next one. You hit the income milestone, and you start comparing to someone doing more. And over time, that becomes exhausting. Not because you're doing too much, but because you never actually feel the impact of what you're doing. You never really get that actual feeling. Now, the third thing that I've learned is that fulfillment without ambition can start to feel like stagnation. Because there's people that lean so far into the peace or the balance and just being present, which is amazing. But what I've seen happen is they start to feel stuck. And they don't always say it out loud, but it shows up as lack of motivation sometimes, lower energy, or feeling like something is missing. Because the truth is, we are wired for growth. We are meant to evolve. We are meant to create and expand. And when that part of us is suppressed, fulfillment actually starts to fade. And Atomic Habits talks about identity. And one of the most powerful shifts is this, is you feel fulfilled when you are becoming someone that you're proud of, not just when you're comfortable. So fulfillment isn't about doing less. It's about doing what matters. And ambition gives your life direction. It gives your life meaning. And it gives your life forward motion. So when you remove ambition entirely, you're not choosing peace. You're choosing stagnation. And that doesn't feel good either. Now, the fourth thing that I've learned is that the real goal is alignment. And the goal isn't just balance, because here's also what I found is that balance implies that we have equal time, equal energy, equal everything. And that's not real life. The goal is alignment, because alignment between what you want, how you're living, who you're becoming, when those three things are aligned, ambition doesn't feel heavy. Fulfillment doesn't feel forced. They just coexist. And this is where leadership becomes everything. Because leadership is not just leading a team, running a business, being in charge. Leadership is how you lead yourself. And it's the ability to pause and ask, why am I chasing this? And is this actually mine? And does this support the life that I want? Now, in the book Essentialism, it talks about doing less, but better. And so what I have found is that most people don't need more discipline. They really just need more clarity. Because when you're clear on what actually matters, you naturally start letting go of what doesn't matter. And that's where alignment starts to happen. So how ambition and fulfillment create our dream life is when ambition and fulfillment work together, you really stop feeling like you're constantly pulling yourself in two different directions. So instead of pushing hard in your business and then trying to recover in your life, everything starts to work together. Your business fuels your life, and then your life fuels your business. You show up better, you think clearer, and you stay consistent longer. And consistency, not intensity, is what actually builds results. So many people think, I just need to push harder. But what I found is that you need to build in a way that you can sustain. And that's what creates real growth, not just short-term wins, but long-term success. And that's exactly what I teach inside the LFG framework. Because when leadership, fulfillment, and growth, when those three are in sync, you don't just build a business, you really genuinely build a life that you're excited to live and to execute. And so I just want to share 5 things that really changed everything for me around this topic. And the first one is I stopped chasing goals that didn't feel like they were mine. Because what I found is that if a goal doesn't feel aligned, it will always feel heavy. And a lot of us are chasing goals we didn't consciously choose. We just sort of absorb them, whether it's from social media or industry, what we think success should look like. And what happens is you hit the goal and it doesn't feel how you thought it would, because it was never yours to begin with. So I started asking myself, would I still want this if no one else could see it? And that question changed everything for me. Now, the second thing is I started to measure fulfillment daily, not someday. And this is what I found, is that if fulfillment is always in the future, it never becomes your reality. So I shifted from I'll feel fulfilled when ... more to did I feel fulfilled today? And that looks like enjoying conversations, being present with my kids, feeling proud of how I showed up, because fulfillment became something that I practiced, not something that I waited for. Now, the third one is I redefined ambition. And this is what I found, is that ambition isn't about doing more. It's about being more intentional. It's about choosing what actually matters, saying no to what doesn't, building with purpose. And ambition isn't hustle, it's direction. The fourth one is I built my business around my life. This is what I found, is that a lot of people build a business and then they try to squeeze their life into what's left. And so I flipped that as I asked myself, what kind of life do I want first? And then built the business to support that. And everything changed. And then the fifth one is I focused on energy, not just results. Because this is what I found, is that you can achieve results while being completely drained, but it won't last. So I started paying attention to what gives me energy, what drains me, how I feel while building, because energy is what sustains growth, not just strategy. And so as I wrap up this episode today, is that I want you to think about if you have been feeling that tension between wanting more, but also wanting to feel better, then I really want to invite you to something that I've created on School in the LFG Business Academy, because it's completely free. And inside, you're going to find tools to grow your business, leadership frameworks, support, and accountability. And I truly believe this, is that you don't have to choose between fulfillment and ambition. You get to build both. Ambition and fulfillment are not opposites, they're partners. And when you learn how to lead yourself through both, that's when everything changes. Because your dream life doesn't start from choosing one, it comes from integrating both. And as always, your dream life starts with the way that you lead, the way that you live, and the way that you grow. I'll see you next time on your Dream Coach podcast.